Hey, so I've been thinking about making this video for a long time. So many people ask me, many of my former friends, classmates, and colleagues often ask me a very simple question. So, what do you actually study as a PhD student in English? And I understand why they ask it. Because when people hear PhD in English, they usually imagine literature. They think of Shakespeare, poetry, novels, drama, literary theories, maybe literary criticism. So when I answer I study rhetoric and composition, or sometimes rhetoric theory and culture, I can almost predict the next follow-up question. So what is that? Honestly, that question makes sense to me because rhetoric and composition is not always familiar outside the American university system. In many places, English studies mostly means literature, linguistics, or language teaching. But in the US, English departments also have this major field called rhetoric and composition. So, what is that? Okay, let me explain it in simpler terms. Rhetoric is the study of how language persuades, shapes meaning, and moves people. It asks questions like how do people use words to convince others? How do speeches, advertisements, political messages, social media posts, classroom assignments, and even casual conversations influence what we believe? Composition, on the other hand, is the study of writing. So, it's not just about grammar, not just essays, not just correct sentences. Composition studies how people learn to write, how writing is taught, how writers develop their voices, and how schools, workplaces, and cultures decide what counts as good writing. So when I say I study rhetoric and composition, I mean I study communication, persuasion, writing, identity, power, language, and culture. For example, think about a political speech. A rhetorician may ask what words are being used, what emotions are being activated, who is the audience, what values are being appealed to, what is being said and what is being left, what is not said. Now think about a student writing an academic paper. A composition scholar may ask how did this student learn to write this way? What language resources are they using? What feedback did they receive? What expectations are shaping their writing, and who gets to decide whether this writing is successful or not? That is where my work fits. I am interested in how multilingual students, specifically graduate students in STEM fields, negotiate writing in academic spaces. I look at how they use language, visuals, identity, disciplinary knowledge, and cultural experiences to produce writing that is often judged by very narrow academic standards. So, no, I do not study novels or poems. I study how writing works in real life. I study how people communicate across language, culture, classroom, institutions, and professional spaces. And I study how power operates through writing, who gets heard, who gets corrected, who gets misunderstood, and who is expected to change in order to fit academic norms. That is why rhetoric and composition matters. Because writing is never just writing. For example, a job application can change someone's future. A classroom assignment can make a student feel intelligent or inadequate. A government form can decide someone's legal status. A scientific report can shape public knowledge. A social media post can influence thousands of people in minutes. So when people ask me, what is rhetoric and composition? My simplest answer is this. It is the study of how writing and communication shape human life. It helps us understand persuasion, identity, language, education, culture, and power. And once you start seeing the world through rhetoric and composition, you realize something important. We are not just using language. Language is also shaping us, shaping our thoughts and how we think and how we act. Thank you.